I'm looking at you, and I'm saying we are tired of war. We are sick and tired of war. You ought to be sick and tired of war. You sent your son here as a Prince of Peace. Now, I've been here for 2 days. I come from a peaceful town, a peaceful neighborhood with peaceful people. And I go to church on Sunday, and I want to tell you, God, that we are sick of war. We do not want to look like Mars, which is going to happen in the next big conflict. You know it. We know it. You are head of the universe. I mean, there's more out there than this little planet. And we want you to save us, to save our planet for future generations that can improve this whole universe with you. We want to help you. So we don't want to have these conflicts with each other. We have people here who have sons, daughters, relatives killed in action. They have been in prison camps. They have suffered enough, as much as your son, I bet you $1. So please, we beg you, stop future wars. Thank you, Lord.
Amen.
ROTC program at Davidson College. And I was in the rifle team, and I closed one eye and fired my rifle at the target and usually hit it. But when I got out and hunted quail, I would miss them. And what I'm trying to say is that I had no training in which of my 2 eyes was dominant. The government doesn't know that this is important for riflemen to have a dominant eye and correspondingly a dominant shoulder. So aiming like this with a left eye domination will give you, unless you close this eye, will give you a target that is to the left. The government doesn't know that, and they don't train you. I went to Germany after 13 weeks of basic training, 13 more in officers' candidate school. How many lessons in Japanese? How many lessons in Italian? How many lessons in German? How many words could I speak in German? 0. I say, kommen Sie raus. Haben Sie Handy ho? I didn't know that. I had to pick it up. So in the meantime, everybody gets shot up or killed. You know, it's just pitiful. Training is bad. And now we have what we call a Space Force. Are we going to fight extraterrestrials? No. We want to cooperate. We have to know the language. Well, we don't. Our minds are concentrated just on this earth. So we got to expand our horizons, get moving. So we got to, let's say, we got to France without any training in language and we got
Full flood.
we got down to the Saar Valley, and if you would put yourself in my place and say your first mission is a slope up a hill. It looks like it's flat, like a golf course. There's no undulations. There's no place for the body to hide except for a dozen soldiers dead in their overcoats of the division we are replacing. Now you can imagine, the day before you get there and you see that and know that you have to go up that hill with machine gun fire and mortar rounds and artillery coming down at the same time. That doesn't look so inviting, does it?
Yeah.
So, but that's what we did. We had about 6 casualties to the top. This is before the Bulge.
Yep.
Strangely enough, when I got to the top and into a foxhole and was putting on my dry socks, which you're supposed to do to prevent trench foot, you can have an extra pair of socks around your waist. Every chance you get, you take off your boots, trade socks. And I said, God, thanks for getting me to the top, but from now on, I'll take charge. And I cannot imagine that anybody would do that, but that's what happened. And I can't believe it. And it's in my book, Two Foes to Fight, which I wrote. But the 87th Division entered combat on the 13th of December. And the Battle of the Bulge started the 16th. So we only had about 3 or 4 battles before that. And the name of the book is Two Foes to Fight, is because after the second battle, my platoon sergeant told my runner that he was going to kill that son of a bitch because he gave 2 stupid orders to go do this and that. And the next day, he has battle fatigue himself and is carried off. And that's my platoon sergeant. And so that's why the name of the book is Two Foes to Fight. I had the Nazis to fight, and I didn't know it, but I had my platoon sergeant to fight. And the day that we were taken to the Bulge, or they were, was I had the company out by myself because, I don't know, we lost our company commander to something, Captain Kidd. Captain Kidd was my CO, and he just plain disappeared. So I had the whole company to myself. We were receiving artillery, which when it hits trees above you, it turns into shotgun shrapnel spreading. I had a lot severed next to my knee, and I thought I was wounded. I thought it hit me, and I asked for the meat wagon to come up and pick me up. But then I looked down, and this shrapnel piece was this big, so right here in the mud, steaming away. And another piece of shrapnel shredded the foam. So I sent my runner down to reconnect the wires. And so I could tell company to call in the artillery against some enemy forces seen getting ready to attack down below this hill up here. And in a minute or two, a calm voice came. It wasn't the company clerk, wasn't the radio operator. This calm voice says, "This is Cannon Company." I said, "Cannon Company? That's what I want." I was going to call artillery. And he took my position, and I said, "Drop phosphorus over there in between me and this patrol, so I can tell the difference between your rounds and their rounds." So they lobbed a couple of phosphorus shells, and as soon as the Germans saw that, they evaporated. Anyhow, in a minute or two, it seemed like everything was under control. Oh, I want to say that thing about it, I sent him back to repair the phone line, and he gets what I really want, Cannon Company. Now, I call that an act of God. I call that, in psychology, Carl Jung's singularity, it's known as. It's when I want something, but it's not in the way that I prescribe it. It's in God's way. And that's what happened. After receiving all this flack from in the trees, he says, "Lieutenant, private, this here private is shaking all over, and he wants to go back. And nobody had told me or given me any training in identifying what battle fatigue was." And so I looked him over and I looked into his eyes. He looked like me, and I said, "Private, we're all scared. We're all shaking like you. What is your big deal?" And he didn't say anything. And I said, "If you go back down that hill and be taken to the medics, you will regret this to your dying day." And the sergeant turned around, the private turned around, and marched back in their foxhole. And that was the end of that story. But then a runner came up and said, "Everybody off the hill, we're leaving this place." So, boy, everybody got off that hill real fast. And they had trucks lined up. And I got my platoon, the captain, or whoever was in charge of the company, took a charge again. And I got my platoon in the truck. By the way, Jack Moran is here. He's in the same company, of the same battalion, of the same regiment, of the same division that I'm in. And he's here this week. I mean, what kind of crazy singularity is that?
He's resting up.
Anyway, he's at the convention. And so I got my platoon on the trucks, but the trouble is, I didn't get in the truck with them. And I was standing out the side there, and this major comes up, and he says, "Lieutenant, go up to that hill, back up on that hill, and get 2 men from I Company who are left up there." And I said, "Well, sir, I'm in K Company, and that's I Company." And he says, "And take that sergeant with you." He didn't listen to me. And so, of course, by the time I got back with the 2 guys from I Company, guess what happened to them? The trucks? They're gone. Guess who hitchhiked all the way to the Bulge? 3 guys. Flatbed trucks getting strafed by the enemy. Bombs falling everywhere. Snow falling after a while. Boy, what kind of a deal is this? Take me back to Tulsa. So there we were. I don't know where we got the winter garbs, because this was down in the south here, where we were down in Saar Valley. We were in Patton's Army, and here we were up in the snow company. And I report to the colonel. I said, Lieutenant Welsh, commanding Company K, second platoon. And he said, "Oh, you've been replaced. You were killed in action. You just forget it. You go." And here I'm sitting on this nice sofa, with fire going over there. We've been out for 3 weeks in the elements. It hadn't been cold as it is now, but there we were. And in a minute he says, "Oh, but 13th Corps has set down a new item here, but you have to volunteer. It's for a patrol to maintain communication with the battalions on each side and things like that. And you'll have a sergeant and a few men. Second battalion area and knock out a Tiger tank." And they said, and to show you how sincere we are that you can accomplish this mission, we're going to provide you with snowsuits so you won't be seen. It'll make you invisible. So here I am, invisible me, walking down towards this tank, which is right straight ahead. This Tiger tank. This must be the street.
Yeah, you're up. It's up there on the top right.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one. Here I am walking down this street towards this Tiger tank, which I'm going to knock out with my bazooka. But he instead sees me in the moonlight moving, and he fires an 88 at me. Not a machine gun or anything. I mean, here's this red tracer coming right at me, which I can dodge just by sidestep. And this 88 goes over, but then everything opens up in B and C company and these other companies in the 2nd Battalion are up on the line here, up on a dike of some kind. And we go over here and are hiding behind here, and the field artillery's backpack has got a big gash in it where a shell fragment has hit it. So that mission just went to pot with me. Says, I can speak Yiddish. So I'm gonna go tell them, I'll give them a carton of cigarettes if they'll give up. And I said, that's a good idea, because I could say comrade or anything to surrender. So we went up there, and I was here, and he had his grease gun out, and he talked to them, and they pulled a pin on a potato masher grenade, which makes a spark right here. And so my guy ran out that way while I threw a grenade at the two soldiers, and then retreated into the train station, which is about as big as this room here, like this part of the room. So I retreated in there, and a guard opened up on the balcony, firing into the station. And the tracer went round and round. He had a burp gun, a portable burp gun. And as soon as he had to replace his ammunition, I slipped out the door in the dark and went over to my guy's line. The rest of the patrol was in the ditch. And there was this guy standing there shooting again into the train station. So I lobbed a grenade at him, and another gun opened up over here at me from a balcony down at me. But it was firing at the red spot of the grenade, which is on a spring, which when you throw our grenades, it goes clang out there about 15 feet away. He didn't know that. He was as badly trained as we were. So he was shooting at the spark, and I kept lobbing grenades. Pass up your grenades. Yeah, I threw a phosphorus grenade through the window and set the house on fire. And we were raising all kinds of hell. And the final protective line opened up on everything from the German side. They crossfire machine guns, mortar rounds, parachute flares in the air. We had to freeze when we were trying to get out of there. But we all got out, no casualties on the other side. But that was something to learn about training. I mean, a little thing about learning your own weaponry as well as the enemy's language and weaponry. Their grenades went off where they put them in here. Ours on a spring way out there. Made a big difference to me because I wouldn't be sitting here. Otherwise, the snow was being peppered down there. So I'm not getting entangled anymore in any engagement. That was the second girl I proposed to while I was in the service. The first one was my real girl named Nancy with a smiling face. Anyway, I had come from basic training. I was making $18 a month. I'd been in Georgia, at Camp Wheeler in Georgia, and I walked up on her front porch and asked her to marry me, and she said, "Oh, I'm infatuated with Tommy Cook." That was my best friend. And so I just walked backwards down the stairs and out. And the day the war was over, I was by then in a tank, in tanks on the Czech border. And the BBC radio says, "The war's over, yeah, yeah, yeah." And you could hear everybody in London celebrate. And there we were. I had given my whiskey to some war prisoners we had just liberated. And they had a good time with that, passing the ball around. But I had no booze, and no girls, and nothing but a big field on the Czech border. Dear girl with a smiling face. We told her how sick everything was. But an interesting thing happened in England the day we left this town of Knutsford. We'd been there all month. I went down to the bar in the hotel to get my last drink because they had one day old scotch in there. We went there every day after doing our routines, and but nobody was there except two girls. They were just sitting. I didn't recognize them at all. They looked like they were in 1928 costumes or something. And this girl says, "Come here." So I went over there, and she had a halfpenny penny in England is about that bigger. A penny is that bigger, and somebody had hit it with an axe and chopped it in two. And she says, "Take this half of a halfpenny, and you will never have any problems." And so I put that, I said, "Thank you," and put it in my wallet. And I went all the way through the war to the Czech border when they announced that the war was over. And somehow or other I was getting in my billfold. I found that half a halfpenny. And guess what I did with it? I'm not superstitious.